My name is Brandon Larson. I work for a commissioning company, QA, doing QA/QC. I work with Lowell at the time being. He's one of my project managers, bosses, I guess. Um, and I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say for introduction.
What about what unit were you from back then during Baqubah?
18th Engineer Company, 2nd Infantry Division. So that'd be first
Okay,
platoon.
cool.
Yep. Lowell Basham, at the time, Brandon and I were both specialists, 18th Engineer Company, first squad, first platoon. I was second squad, first platoon, out of the 18th Engineer Company, assigned to 3rd Brigade, 2ID. Starting at Bakuba, we had just gotten there February of '07. We had originally deployed to Iraq June of '06. Did a little bit of pre-mob in Kuwait. Went up to Mosul 6 months. Down to Baghdad following that. Had a little stint in Baghdad with Haifa Street and some other things. Got pulled down to Najaf for a down Apache helicopter. And then following that short stint, we headed up to Bakuba in the Diyala province. End of February of '07. When we got there, as you know, it was probably one of the most dangerous situations that we found ourselves in, and I'm sure you know all about it. What we were told originally during our pre-brief was that the calves up there, every time they get hit, that road gets closed, nobody goes down there, and that footprint just kept shrinking smaller and smaller, right? It was getting dangerous for you guys, and that's originally what we were told. And when we got there, we had very quickly realized that every route that had been shut down, again, this is all coming from higher up, so if I'm getting details wrong, please let me know. Every time those roads would get shut down, that gave the Al-Qaeda, enemy, jihadists, whatever you want to call them, the time and opportunity to emplace IEDs anywhere they want, repave the roads, and you wouldn't even know it was there. And we ran into that quite a bit. During that first month we were there, I believe we found, reduced, or were exploded by over 137 IEDs. Now, I don't know if that number's a little dramatic, but I'm pretty sure it was that high. If I recall that number, and looking at sit reps and talking to our LT, it was all over the place, right? Whether we were getting hit by them, where we were finding them, reducing them in place to what we call lollipops. You know what that is? Depression in the road. They've got an initiator cable running out to maybe somebody sitting with a power block or whatever they use. But it was a pretty crazy month. A lot of tragedy, a lot of, I think, Brandon, you and I witnessed 3 or 4 tanks getting hit.
Yeah, burning on the side of the
Correct me if
road.
I'm wrong. We watched an Abrams turret get popped off like a cork, man. It was a crazy time. Again, you know all of this, I'm sure, being a part of those units. But once we got organized and everybody, we got a good plan going on, working with you guys hand in hand was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life. I do remember one day we were in a firefight and you guys had a truck sitting next to my truck, but I didn't know that. And I was pulling guard up in a hatch. And usually you guys would come over, over the mic, like main gun, just to let us know, you guys were going to let loose, and didn't hear that. And boy, I probably doodled my pants there, when that main gun went off, thought another IED hit us or something. So it was pretty cool. It was a shotgun round they used. Ended that firefight really quick. So quite a bit happened. I took some of your questions and was trying to reflect on what to talk about. And Mike, I'm sure as you know, every single day something was going on. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of missions, hundreds of situations we were put in. Some of the worst I don't think I want to relive or talk about, but all I know is that once we were there, it changed the whole dynamic of our deployment. I mean, Mosul was rough, especially being new to it, right? That was our first deployment, Brandon and I, and Chad Wise, who couldn't be here today. But we felt like okay, we weren't invincible, but like maybe we'll get through this. And then when we got to Baqubah, it was like, oh man, maybe we won't. Maybe this is it. And we just got to treat every day like it's our last and try not to lose our minds, right?
Especially with the mission up tempo, like you're talking about. So, so what was like your daily mission? What were you doing route clearance? Were you doing construction? Were you doing demolishing? What tell people what you were doing like on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, you want me to keep talking?
Yeah, you're way better at it than I am. But I mean, yeah, we did route clearance for every day, every single day, every hour, basically, where we're deployed. There's no getting away from it.
Sometimes 16, 30-hour route clearance missions.
So because you're like one of the first ones to get on here and really start talking about route clearance, maybe provide some insight on the mentality of others are driving to avoid where you're driving to find. So maybe enlighten the world with that type of mentality of what that takes.
I'll say that as a combat engineer going through training, they do prepare you the best they can. You go through change identification lanes on multiple levels, especially when you get to Kuwait. And sorry, I don't know why I got emotional. But when you're on mission, you're looking for, whether it's encased pipe bombs, you're looking for concrete that's new, you're looking for anything and everything you can that just looks out of place. And what's crazy is that people tend to become complacent over time. It's just natural. But we couldn't. Every single day you were on guard, and it was so emotional. It was...
I mean, yeah,
didn't see this coming, bro.
Yeah, every day is like every step, every mile, every foot. You didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. You don't know if you're getting shot at. You don't know if underneath the ground's going to blow up. The curb next to you is going to blow up. It was just every day, just nonstop, to a point where you just kind of become numb to life. And it sucks when you come back to the States because people think you're crazy or weird. But that's just how it is. It just, you become numb. Like, okay, well, if I die today. There's nothing I could do about it.
Yep. R&R was some of the worst things for us, I think, because you go back and you're on guard for 2 weeks. People think you're nuts, but preparing for a mission, we're the first in, last out, right? And as a young soldier, you don't really think about the nuances of that, right? What does that really mean? And every day was, luckily we had, a buffalo and we had a husky and we had vehicles that were well up armored to investigate those things. But man, when you witness your buffalo getting blown to the sky and barely keeping your guys alive, going through every 7 panes of those windows, you're like, holy crap, man, this is real. This is that could have been me. And that happened to us one morning.
It was 1 o'clock. I mean, not just the vehicles that we had that helped out. It was our teamwork, our communicating with everybody was superb. It was on point. I mean, sometimes, we mess around, we joke, but we always get told, cut the chit chat, keep it tactical. So, I mean, I would throw it out to the guys also. Vehicles, but mainly the guys.
Sergeant Kelly, he was from Ireland. One of the coolest, baddest dudes we ever had, man. Cut the chit chat, get off the radio. You just kind of jump on, and the guy lived on cigarettes and coffee, man. He was incredible. You always look at your leaders like in the beginning, like, man, this guy's a dick or he's rough, but dude, he trained us to survive, and that's what we did.
So I wanted to give a shout out to the guys. I'm sorry.
No, give a shout out, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Equipment's great, but there takes a human being, like you're saying, the guys operating them and making them actually do their, perform to the best of their capabilities. So yeah, it's all about the operators.
Pretty awesome, dude.
Yeah, you're talking about the morning of the buffalo. Before I interrupted.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and this was a named operation. I think it's all okay now. I think it's all debriefed, or what do you call that again? Unclassified.
Declassified.
Yeah, declassified. So we were on a named operation, and I think it was the heart of the city, Mike. You may recall this mission, but we were really getting in deep to a place that people hadn't been. I want to say 9 months is what we were told. You guys have been taking it pretty hard for a long time. So we're going in, we're leading the way for this named operation because we're going to have troops that were going to be hitting the houses along with us. This happened many times, but this particular morning, our truck was in the lead. Sergeant Francis was our squad leader at the time, Nathan Francis. And we're in the lead. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're moving pretty slow because it's hard to see. I think we're even using night vision odds, the truck's black-white thermals. And all of a sudden, we're coming up to a bridge, and our lieutenant just comes on, and he goes, "Hey, 1-2, why don't you stop?" We're like, "All right, what's going on, 1-6?" And he's like, "I don't know. Why don't you just pull over and let the Buffalo go ahead of you? I just got a weird feeling." And, man, I'm sorry. Did not expect this. The Buffalo pulled forward, and the explosion was so loud, I thought I died. They used HME, which is homemade explosives, right? So they pack a bunch of chemicals, whatever that looks like. And the crater was the size of the Buffalo. We wouldn't be here right now if the lieutenant, didn't come over and say that. But everybody was fine. It was funny. We were trying to get radio contact, and 1-6 just kept calling 1-7, inside the Buffalo for like 3 minutes, nothing. So we're trying to get a plan together, like how we're going to get to him, what are we going to do? And all of a sudden, Kelly comes over the radio and in his Irish accent, he's like, "Holy mother effing," like, "I can't believe we all survived," just like, so crazy, but they got busted up pretty good, and the vehicle's parts were just everywhere, man. And on a Buffalo vehicle, for those listening, it's got a VEED hole, right? So that deflects blast left or right. Instead of your Bradleys, your Abrams, they had flat bottoms,
And
Mike.
the Striker at the time was too.
And the Striker was also a VEED hole. So,
or flat hole back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They're on the upgrades, but keep
you're
going
right.
up.
Yeah, and so anti-tank mines, IEDs. That's how they were really just putting a hurting on us because those vehicles had flat bottoms. So that Buffalo, that Husky with that VEED hole helps deflect the blast and save lives, and it really did that day. But that was our job, right? Looking for those IEDs, looking for those bombs, and unfortunately, quite a few times, I want to say 60 plus, we found it the hard way. So
and I mean, just reflecting on that story, a feeling, all it was a feeling of, hey, pull over, let the 1-7 go. So that just shows you, like Brad was talking about, the communication and what you both have been talking about, that brotherhood, that connection where you trusted each other, where someone made the decision. It was like, okay, and we're all here right now talking about this.
Yeah. So you asked a lot about what we did. There was a March 16 mission, but that I can't talk about. I'll break down. Brandon and I and Lavoy and Harrison. Was Harrison there at first, or did he come after Brandon?
For what part?
When we were doing our house-to-house with the infantry.
I think it was Ehlers, and then Harrison might have came in. I remember I did it with Ehlers a couple times.
Yes, we started off with Lavoy, Ehlers, Brandon, and myself on house-to-house, looking for caches, reducing them in place. We were finding that we were running into so many IEDs and so many house-borne IEDs and vehicle-borne IEDs that we didn't have enough staff to keep up. And so all this poor infantry are waiting for us to come reduce things so that they can keep moving. So now you got soldiers sitting in one spot instead of continually moving, right? Which is what you need to do to stay safe. So,
or doing the thing that you guys normally hate, and that's we just start shooting at it, and then we're like, we'll let AOD or we'll let route clearance deal with that later. But we think we shot it enough times.
Yeah, heck, they did that in the Mosul, Brandon, right? They were dropping 500-pound concrete J dams just to reduce IEDs and creating these swimming pools. I remember there was like 5 or 6 of them, and it rained, and all these kids are just out there having the time of their life. Man.
The locals loved
it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but to get back, like you were saying, so you guys are now dismounted because the elements on the ground are finding, you briefly went over it, but the houseborne IEDs, where now, houses are being rigged to blow up. So now that's another level of complexity you have to deal with. And now, by the way, you're short manned, and the infantry squads or whoever on the ground is saying, hey, we need you to dismount and come with us.
Yeah, a lot of new techniques, tactics, and procedures that were being developed during that time so that we could pass that on to our left seat, right seat gentlemen when they'd show up, right? Which, moving into that, when Brandon and I, Lavoy and Ehlers, who didn't end up staying too long, they got replaced by Harrison and Connolly. So Connolly became our squad leader. We were a couple of specialists at the time, so we still needed to have a team lead above us. We would move house to house on named operations. I think Brandon and I were out there 2 weeks straight at one point. I'll tell you, it was a lot. It was a nice respite from the daily grind of looking for IEDs and route clearance. That, it becomes rough. It becomes hard on you. And that's when complacency will sink in. So it was a nice change up. Was it dangerous? Unbelievably. In fact, I would call it a little bit more dangerous than what we were doing before. What the infantry do is just incredible. But moving house to house, we'd be in firefights, and we call them Xerxes. Captain Gore, Brandon?
I don't know. I don't remember his name, but it was the captain for sure.
I think his name was Captain Gore. He was this tall, bald, beautiful man that looked like Xerxes. And all right, sappers, we're moving. It's like, sir, we're getting shot at. He's like, yep. He just take off. And man, we're running, and there was an infantryman in front of me behind Brandon, and he took one to the dome, grabbed him, dragged him. We're still running, and we stop, and I kind of just sit the guy up on the wall, and he's staring right at me, just blank faced. I'm like, holy crap, you're alive, dude. He had taken one, it went into the Kevlar and then out. Wow. He went home after that. But I don't know. I can't remember that guy's name, Brandon. I don't know if you do. Yeah. It's been 20 years since we were there, buddy. Coming up on 20 years.
The power of some of these debriefs, you never know who may watch it and who may pop up in the comment section. So we'll definitely stay in touch after this, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. But we started, again, house to house, a lot of caches. There was a point where they were having us help them reduce vehicle-borne IEDs, and that was just us being near, like, hey, you guys think you can get near that one? Like, I don't know, sir, that's a pretty big one. So he called an Apache just to shoot a Hellfire at and blow it up, right? And I think Brandon's got a couple of videos, actually.
He's got I think it was the 20 millimeter? It was the gun they shot. Yeah. At the school.
Was it the gun or the Hellfire?
I was pretty sure it was a gun. But it was at the school.
Well, either way, he was supposed to warn us over the radio, and he didn't, and he scared the bejesus out of us. But Bill was covered in dust from all the mortar. Our interpreter, remember? He's like, what happened? But anyway.
His laugh, though, was epic.
Brandon and I got to experience a little bit. Go ahead.
I would say the laugh from the captain, because he was the one recording it, was pretty epic. So we'll have to upload that video one day.
Yeah, you should send that to Mike in that email thread.
Okay. I'll try to do that.
Captain Gore laughing at us. That was good. Yeah. Suck it up, guys. Don't be wimps. A lot happened there, Mike. I don't know how many of you guys lost, but I know over the course of that surge with the infantry coming in, the airborne, I think we left at a loss of 52, and that was including one reporter. He was out there during a mission and trying to take pictures. What a guy, have the sand to go out there with just a camera, different breed.
He was a contractor, but if you remember the KBR guy who got blown up on Warhorse, just out there manning the water farm and then comes around. So, that, like you were talking about, the cumulative exhaustion of doing your job. But then there's also just the fact that there is no real safe place. There is no break. And like you brought up, when you're out, you go on R&R. Is it really R&R when, you're hyper fixated, hyper focused?
Yeah, you think you want it, and then you get there and you're like, maybe I shouldn't have left, especially when you find other things out. I don't even need to get into that, but, it's it's hard because then things also happen when you're gone. It's like, oh man, if I was there, could I have stopped it or helped or,
the dangerous what if game. But we all do it because, the war continues even though you're gone and things happen.
Yeah, it does.
And Yeah. So, were you guys there for Arrowhead Ripper, or did you guys rotate out before Arrowhead Ripper?
We were there
We
before
lived.
Ripper, and we were there during Ripper.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything stand out from that?
When the surge happened, is what you're asking?
Yep. When the surge finally made it to Baqubah, the entire 3rd Striker Brigade moves up to Baqubah, and now we're flooding the zone.
A lot happened. I don't want to badmouth the airborne, but when they showed up, they were a little, we've done this before, guys, don't worry about it. Some of our TTPs that we were trying to relay to them, and I think Lieutenant Johnson could really speak to this because he was more present for these talks than we were, but this is all coming second-handed from him is, hey, here's our TTPs, what's keeping us alive. Guys, you might want to think about this. Yeah, don't worry about it. We've done this before. Again, I don't want to badmouth them. If they ever watch this, I apologize. Love you guys. But unfortunately, we witnessed some of that, mentality watching an E7 get wrapped backwards around a tree, from a houseborne IED. We just mentioned, do not turn on light switches, right? Check the doors before you go in, check the windows. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. A lot of that happened. I remember looking at a map in my mind where Warhorse was. So if you're looking at me, Warhorse was here, and the vast majority of Bakuba, right? You come down that main road, and then you'd go, it was an east, Mike. We spent a lot of time east, and then we kind of wrapped around east, came down south, and then tried to wrap around west of Fob Warhorse. And that's about when Ripper started, is the airborne was helping us hit the west side of Bakuba. And man, that was heavy. The infantry moved pretty quickly, though. So outside of all the tragedies and losses, I think they did a pretty good job. And what was really cool is, as combat engineers, we have quite a few tools in the toolbox. And one of the coolest things we got to do over there was launch a Miklik trailer. If none of you know what that is, a Miklik trailer's got, Brandon, please correct me if I'm wrong, 100 pounds of C4, I believe, or it's 100.
Yeah, it was more than 100 pounds. It's like 2,000 pounds of C4 strapped to a rocket.
Yeah, it's strapped to a rocket. It's this huge, maybe it's a mile long, a quarter mile long. I don't quite remember. I apologize. I have to look that one up. But anyway, you shoot this because we were finding so many IEDs. You know what? Screw it. Let's throw some C4 out there and light this road up. And man, it was fireworks. I don't know how many IEDs went off on that thing. So that road was unusable after that. But I think that was the culmination, Brandon, if you recall. I think that was one of the last big missions we did, was use that Miklik. And that was kind of the cleanup in the final stage of that west side cleanup. But
it could have been. It's too long ago. I don't.
Experience with the 82nd is what the first Cav experienced with 2ID. And to be honest, that's maybe one of the defaults, or not defaults, but one of the negatives about the Army and everybody being the hools is, oh, we'll do it better than those guys. And we don't really receive what's being put out. And
great point, man.
You have to learn the hard way. And something we're hoping through this project is hopefully future leaders are watching this stuff and people can learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. We made so many, right? But unfortunately, that's how we learn and adapt, right? Is sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And what I really want to make note of outside of what we experienced was the people, right, that lived there. What they went through for so many years, and I hope that they're not going through anymore. I'm not really sure what's going on in that region anymore, but the families who lost dads, husbands, fathers, brothers, just for talking to us, getting thrown in a trunk and never being seen again. I don't know how many times we had to set up an OP and kick a family out of their house, unfortunately, just because that person talked to us. They may not be here anymore. I hope and pray that a lot of those families are no longer affected. For the locals and the villagers who weren't part of those Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces, I hope they're doing okay. So,
well, and that's part of the conclusion aspect of this project. And not to get into too many details, but like you said, the thing that brought your attention to what we were doing was the trailer for a documentary that we're working on. But what we want to do is we're going to have a final episode that is going to provide some closure. And part of that is we've been talking to a few Iraqi citizens from Baqubah who are getting videos, getting their own kind of stuff to add to this, but showing how the city is a thriving city where there is no more sectarian violence. And, maybe that's one of those areas because, being combat engineers, being on route clearance, but like something the infantry guys, and maybe you guys saw this during your time with the infantry, but when you found the execution houses, when you found the makeshift prisons, when the sectarian violence was at its highest, how the people were affected. So what we really want to do, though, is help provide that closure of showing that, hey, the city is a city now. People are living a better life than they were, and hopefully provide some closure to each other. We all could feel a little better knowing, hey, it's a better place.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. How about yourself, Brandon? Is there any like huge takeaway or something you would like to leave everybody with from your experience?
Not really. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of a dud on this, but I mean, I guess your only takeaway is don't take friends and family for granted. The family I made through the military is amazing. Like, I still only talk to a handful of the guys, but I cherish it. I do it again, over and over again, just to meet these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you guys must like each other. You're working together, and talk. Lowell was saying something about you guys trying to get into the same location. So that's yes, that tribe, that community you build. Don't take advantage of it, and hopefully through this reconnecting, we're reconnecting some people that have lost touch with each other. Because it's powerful. Sebastian Janikowski, right? I think that's his name. The author. He wrote the book The Tribe. He also did Restrepo, the documentary, but basically just focusing on, the tribe that we create in the military, that we become a brotherhood, sisterhood, it's a group that, go off and do crazy things and come back together. And it's like
Hard to beat.
Hard
to beat. Has been trying to get me to move to Reno. I'm like, nah, I'm good, buddy.
It's beautiful here. Should do it.
I've visited enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so I know Brandon said he had to cut out at some point, but is there any other, because like I said, the power of editing here, is there anything you guys think you may want to bring up, you forgot about, any calls of other 18th engineers to come to share their stories? Or like I kept saying, really it's about you guys. I mean, I just kind of help or threw out some of the TTPs, learn from other people of, hey, do this, do that. But we like to just provide the space for you guys.
I think that if you got the opportunity to speak to Sean McGuire, who was Brandon's squad leader for that deployment, I think it would be very insightful. That man got shot 4 times, blown up twice.
Oh, shit.
I mean,
I could be wrong about the numbers there, but more than once, right? It was not fun. Was a part of the March 16th battle that we had. 3 RPGs kind of came sailing in and took a bunch of guys down, and McGuire was part of that. So I think it would be insightful to speak to McGuire, to possibly Brandon Babiak.
Maybe Lieutenant Johnson, too.
Lieutenant Johnson, Nathan Francis.
I mean, you guys got my...
Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going. I was going to say, you got my email.
So give you some names
to start the conversation with them. The way that this works is I'll give me a couple days. I'll do some editing, do just some, put the cheesy front and opening, closing on there. Yeah. And I'll send it to you guys.
Space. I'm just kidding.
Actually, to be honest, I cut myself out.
Yeah.
Like keep saying, we want this to be about whoever is talking, not about the Debrief project people.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll send you a link. Once you approve it, a great thing you could do is, like a personal email with the link. Tell them you did it. Hey, it's not easy putting yourself out there, and hopefully this was a positive experience. Hopefully, when we get off, you feel a little better about sharing your story with the world. Especially, I don't like to overemphasize this because we don't want anyone feeling like, oh, I just want to do this so my story gets into the documentary. But this is a chance to tell your story, your unit story. And then as we are creating this documentary, one, we are pulling stories from these debriefs to put into the main storyline. But then also, like, a part of each episode is going to be, hey, you want to learn more about route clearance? Check out Debrief 27, 22, and 55. And it's where, these other guys you're talking about, they jump on here referring back to yours and so on. So it just lets people learn more about, the complete story, even if their story is not directly in the documentary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think Brandon will agree with me that we were just a small part of a band of wonderful guys who we consider heroes to us. That's who we worked with, just people that helped get us home. I think that's the number one goal. That was my goal going to Afghanistan following that other deployment. Just want to get people home, man. I don't care about any of this. I mean, I know there's a point to our missions and what we're doing out there and working for the government, but number one priority to me was always to get home, get our people home.
So we were attached with the 520th, correct, Lowell?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I guess my biggest thing was like be a shout out to those guys, because I remember nights and days just seeing cots get picked up, gear being cleaned up and just removed. And it's like heart wrenching. And then when you see your own friends' stuff get picked up, you know what they're feeling like. I mean, I give out a shout out to those guys. Those guys work their asses off. Mm-hmm. I haven't met one since we've been out, but they did good work. And I feel bad for what happened to their guys.
Yeah, a lot of good friends out of that.
Yeah, and a part of this, all this work is, the 20th anniversary coming up. So I believe some of the units are trying to put together 20th anniversary get-togethers. I know some small groups have started picking up since we went live with all this stuff. So yeah, at least virtually, you'll definitely meet some of them. And but hopefully, if that's something you are into or you're willing to put yourself out there, go to one of these events, and people might be really happy to see you and put faces to stories. And
that'd be awesome.
It might be the guy who you pulled after getting that round to the head, and yeah,
probably wouldn't recognize my old butt now though. Can't believe it's been 20 years, dude. It's crazy.
I haven't aged at all. I don't know what you're saying. So
yeah. So did you both go to Afghanistan or just you, Low? Sorry.
Lowell, all good.
Low. Yeah.
I got called back in 2009, and I redeployed in 10 to 11. I got attached to a Mississippi unit, so a National Guard unit. So that was my experience for Afghanistan.
Yeah, then I went from 12 to, I think we got back January 14. So December 12 to January 14. Started off in the Helmand province and then went up kind of RC East, RC South, right in between there at Fob Apache. Just route clearance package. Afghanistan was completely different. It was not the same as Iraq. Two different wars, man.
I was just about to ask, how did they compare Afghan to Iraq, especially, the urban adventure of Bakuba?
I know that watching Restrepo, what those guys dealt with up there, up in the hills, up in the mountains, you're pretty much fighting mountain goats, right? I mean, those guys are just move up and down the mountain like it's nothing. Fortunately, we didn't deal with a lot of that by the time I got there in 12. It was just a lot of listen over the radio for these guys just like, oh, don't mess with the yellow trucks. And they're killing their own people, right? They're killing the Afghan police and the Afghan troops. And they sort of quit fighting us and just working on them. But we were still, finding 20-liter YPOCs with HME in it. So to say you could compare the two is just not true. I mean, the danger, the death toll, and maybe somebody else had a different experience, right? Afghanistan was probably rougher for them than Iraq was. I don't know, but all I know is I don't think I'd ever want to go back to that country, to the country of Iraq.
I think their tactics.
Too many memories. Yeah,
because Iraq, we had a lot of command wire. Afghanistan had a lot of pressure plates. So I think the whole tactics changed. It was different. But I mean, Iraq, the command wire was even, I believe, more dangerous than what it was in Afghanistan. They had bigger things buried in the ground, a lot more devastation. I mean, that one mission where the striker got hit and 11 of the 12 passed away from a deep bury.
Yeah, you're right. They had HME munitions, right? A lot of accelerator. Whereas Iraq or Afghanistan, it was like, oh, maybe we have a little bit of anal, which is ammonium nitrate with aluminum. I'm not trying to be gross there, but just you're right, Brandon. the resources they had against us compared to Afghanistan were completely different, and they were funded heavily by other countries. I think in Iraq with
Oh, yeah.
a lot of outsiders, right?
You look at who the neighbor to the east was, and as one of the TTPs you guys did not discuss, not knocking you, is the thing that came out that was targeting you guys a lot, but then also the tanks was the EFPs. It was like, but once I don't know if you ever heard the story about the cache that was found, where basically it was all the components being shipped from Iran, and people thought that, hey, these were really complex to make. You had to know what you're doing. And this cache we found no, they were actually making them in an assembly line, and it was basically, hey, you want to make I don't know, however many ounces or whatever size you want to make a paint can. Here's all the parts to make a paint can, all the formula, and now you are making an EFP. And it's like, man,
I don't know I don't know if we actually found many EFPs. The only one we found was March 16th, and that one was just like broken. It didn't work. That was like a decoy, one of the many decoys we ran into that day, that 30-something hour mission. So, yeah, I don't know if we saw many EFPs.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they weren't, as you were saying, or as both of you were saying, it's 20 years ago. So I don't really remember that much, but I do remember from my first deployment, they were more prominent in Baghdad, just north.
Yeah, Mosul, it was a big threat in Mosul. They had with the rhinos or whatever in front of the vehicles to try to have the glow plugs to trick it. But there wasn't a whole lot of that I remember in Baqubah. It was that north side that was weird.
You bring up a good point. There, I can't remember what they're called, but the facility that was either on BIOP, either in Liberty or one of the other camps on BIOP, there was a building. And in that building, they had all the evidence from IEDs that we collected. And they were trying to understand how they were being built, all the way down to a pen bomb, right? Mm-hmm. A little pen. So you're right. I mean, these folks were very smart individuals, or being taught by very smart individuals, being financed and funded, and, a lot of outside influence, and a lot of people that didn't care for America at the time, or still do, got into that. I don't know if it was in Baqubah, but there was a particular sniper that was giving us a lot of problems there.
I believe it was Baqubah.
It was in Baqubah, because we had an Overwatch position, and we had a forward observer guy who was sitting behind I'm a horrible person for not remembering his name. He was such a cool guy. He always wore those Ranger glasses, the ones they give to people that need to wear glasses in Ranger school.
Oh,
dude, he wore them.
Go Fast glasses.
Yeah, the Go Fast something. He was the coolest guy. Somebody will probably remember his name. I'm horrible for not keeping his name alive, but sitting behind sniper netting. And that sniper messed with him, shot him once in the neck, and then took a second shot to the forehead. And that sniper gave us a lot of we heard rumors it was a female Russian. We never found out. And I don't know if you heard about that, but you remember that, Brandon?
Yeah, like I said, I believe it was Baqubah. It could have been Mosul. It's all blurred in a sense.
I could be mixing it up.
But I remember that's why we're like, why are you going to these side sappies? They're like, because they shoot you there. We're like, oh,
yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm already wearing 100 pounds. Give me another 20. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, definitely there was a sniper cell. I did not hear a Russian female before, but anything's possible. I mean, if you look at, you're talking about Restrepo, and I don't know what other books you may have read, but if you look at Operation Anaconda, where they talked about how that mountain was divided by your country of origin. So I think if I'm remembering correctly, don't quote me, it was like African Muslims were on the bottom. Then it was like the certain Middle East nations. Then there was like the Chechens. Then there was like Bin Laden's personal guard. But basically it was like just showing the hierarchy. And the reason I bring that up is, as we've been talking about, the foreign fighters that were flooding Iraq and at that time. And yeah, we were finding all kinds of equipment, so somebody was giving their stuff to somebody to go test or use.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk about this for hours, but you don't want to hear it all.
all the side stories.
Hey,
yeah, there's a lot.
Hey, it's whatever you guys feel like sharing. yeah, I mean, is there anything else burning? There have final words? There, you know, how would you like to close this thing out? Or we just say bye, high five each other, and go from there. But really, yeah, it's about how you guys want to wrap this up. What would be your words? Or I go back to what you said before.
I don't know. I mean, I guess my only thing would be I love the guys I served with, and I appreciate their work and their knowledge they passed down to me. I mean, I wouldn't be the same person I would be without them. So thanks.
Oh, that's right.
Brandon's right. The men that were over us, even as young men themselves, right? I mean, you look back at how old we were then and who was in charge. Like, you're put into these positions at such a young age, and to make the certain decisions that we did to stay alive it's monumental. And like Brandon said, I do appreciate everything they told me how to do, what to do, or what not to do, right? I mean, you learn a lot from people, whether it's good or bad. And like Brandon said, it's made us who we are today. We function in society, though it was very difficult in the beginning getting out. Brandon and I are excelling. We're doing well. We stay in contact with each other. We try to contact our other buddies, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But you always want to maintain a positive outlook on life and know that there's so much more than what we dealt with. And I want to thank you for putting this together. I mean, it means a lot for mental health. It means a lot for everybody still dealing with the demons they are today. So, yeah, thank you.
I think that was perfect. Well, actually, that was perfect. I do want to commend both of y'all. I mean, just sharing, but also, I mean, the maturity, the positive that you're saying about your leadership versus, you know, you come across the people that still have an axe to grind, and it's like, bro, that's why you're probably suffering the way you are. I mean, you gotta let it go at some point. And then, just like you were saying, we were all, I mean, yeah, we weren't kids, but we were, 26 in charge of a platoon. Who thinks of that? And
who made
yourself,
that decision?
yeah, I mean, like you guys. I mean, you made a comment earlier. Oh, you know, we still had a squad leader, but I mean, you're rolling around with probably what, tons of explosives, all kinds of just freedom, and yeah, it was all hoping that you two made the right decision at the right time. And yeah, what if you didn't? So yeah, I think that's a perfect way. We'll be able to get a lot of great clips.
I get nervous. I have no social media, so I kind of float in the ether now. But I mean, it's fine for this. For this with Lowell, I will present my face and let it be as is. But I mean, the whole time, hopefully my camera is fine. I've been like shaking this whole time. I've been holding my phone.
Trust me, you two, I mean, you guys are good. I'm not just telling you that just to hype you up. You guys were great.
Right.
But yeah, it was definitely a pleasure. Like I said, we'll be in touch regardless, you know. But yeah, if you talk to people, you know, tell them your experience. Feel free. You can pass them the email addresses, all the other stuff. I know you're not a social media guy, but Brandon, check out YouTube. We got a lot of stuff that, you know, for the non-social media types. We put everything on there, so they don't actually have to have an account.
No, I have YouTube. That's how I found it. I've been trying to watch the videos, and Steve McGuire pops up once in a while. I'm like, there's got to be someone I know. There's got to be somebody.
Hey, hopefully what I have noticed is it normally takes a first from a unit, and then that opens the floodgates, especially if you, like I was saying, if you email your friends, you email former commanders, whoever, and just say, hey, we did this. It worked out. It was a positive experience. You know, you'll see other people. You'll start seeing others.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Same.
I appreciate it because, like I said, you know, you're the first, and we are really just trying, not really, we want to capture different perspectives, different units, because it was a cumulative effort. It was a team effort. You brought together the combat arms. Yeah, you guys are combat arms, right? Yeah, combat arms, combat support, service support. You know, if you watched the video, we had a couple of FSC. You know, dudes were, one was a fueler or a cook, and here he is spending weeks out at one of the checkpoints because they were actually rotating out to pull guard at a checkpoint. And, you know, they were doing these crazy supply missions, and it, you know, everybody was doing something that just wasn't their assigned MOS.
Soldier first, right?
Yeah, you know.
Well, I
hopefully
could
more
say
people pick up.
they didn't want to do a combat engineer spot. That's for sure. No one does. I didn't even want to do it.
No, I mean, I asked the question, but yeah, you'd see route clearances like, dude, screw that. Like, I don't want to ride in that and go find stuff. Like, shit.
I mean, I wish I could explain more, but the whole March 16th like mission, I don't know if I have a place to explain it all. I don't have all the perspectives of what everyone saw. So maybe later down the road, somebody else will bring it up. The what?
You got hit. Your truck got hit.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
Yeah. So, I mean, later down the road, if one of our guys from our unit pops up, maybe we do like a collab. We could talk about it and have our point of views of what we saw and experienced. So, yeah, if someone from the 18th Engineer comes up and talks about March 16th, let us know, and maybe we could get something together on that.
We weren't the only ones there. There were snipers that lost their lives that day. There was a lot of infantry that supported us. There was an M88 tank that ripped that striker out of there, and I mean, there's a lot of people involved in that mission. So,
well, we also had the two tanks. The one that was like, "No, we're scared to shoot," and the second guy jumped in and was like, "Hell yeah, point the direction. Let's do this."
That's actually shocking to hear that because a funny story about, we were talking about everybody rotating in. We replaced 4th ID, and they're like, "Hey, bro, we haven't used a main round in 12 months." We get there, and within like 12 hours, main round, boom! So yeah, it's shocking to hear someone did not want to use the main round because those dudes were blowing through that stuff. Our FSC was drawing ammo from Anaconda like it was going out of style. All right, so you're saying March 16th, right?
Yeah, because part of that, we asked them to shoot a building because they kept shooting our robots' antennas. I had to dismount and pull 2 robots back to EOD's vehicle because I didn't dismount. This is a different mission. Never mind. Scratch that part.
No, you're right. There was a lot of
shot. We would be like, "Oh, they shot Johnny 5."
Yep. You're right, Brandon. There was a lot of hoax IEDs that day. They were testing us out, right? We had started that mission at 12. We left the FOB at 12. Got there at 1 a.m. and we were just waiting, right? We were sitting around waiting, and it was, okay, it's time to go. And then we started performing route clearance. The infantry was supposed to kind of shadow us and move through buildings as we were moving forward. I think it was like 13 hoax IEDs. And then finally, we had a replacement. Sergeant Ringelbauer was our new E7, our new platoon sergeant. And he was like, "All right, that's enough of that. Let's just go." And McGuire 1-1 was like, "Are you sure?" And he's all, "Yep." He's like, "Okay." And that's when Brandon took off. And earlier that day, we saw there was nobody around, not a single soul. So we knew that something was going to happen.
Well, there was one kid. Yeah.
There was a kid. And I was telling Francis, like, "Hey, man, there's a kid sneaking through the cemetery to our left," right? I was in the hatch. And I was like, "He doesn't have a weapon, but he seems off. What should I do?" He's like, "Don't do anything." I was like, "Okay." Well, that kid eventually is the one who initiated that IED on Brandon's truck. That IED hit, it was shot through a wall or it was mounted on the wall. I can't remember, Brandon, but it hit the striker right next to him. Brandon's not going to like me telling you this, but when we got to, there are a lot more things happened, right? We got out to look at the truck. Ingram, Ringelbauer, Chad Wise,
Morgan.
What was that new kid's name?
Well, Brewer was there, but I think Morgan was there too.
No, it wasn't Brewer. It was the other kid. I don't remember his name. I apologize. And Morgan. They all got out to look at the damage of the truck. And within a minute, and McGuire's leaning over the truck trying to look at the damage. Everybody's talking. Boom, 3 RPGs came sailing in and blew all those guys up. I dismounted, grabbed Ingram, rolled him into the truck. I think he took a round through both thighs. Or not a round, but shrapnel through both thighs. There was so much going on. As soon as those RPGs went off, man, it was just an immediate firefight. Somehow, Walters, our medic, grabbed Ringelbauer, who is twice his weight, threw him over his shoulder and dragged him to another truck. Shout out to Walters, man. And then he came back. He grabbed Ringelbauer first because Ringelbauer was semi-conscious. And he saw Chad Wise there laying bleeding out. He thought he was already gone. He grabbed Ringelbauer, came back. I think he threw Morgan in the truck. Morgan's holding his neck. It looked like somebody took an axe to it. Luckily, Morgan, don't hate me, he was a little heavier, so it didn't hit his jugular. But it looked like a clean axe, and he's, I don't want to die. Like, you're not going to, don't worry. Immediately, Walters grabbed Chad and threw him over his shoulder and ran, dude. And I didn't see him after that. But I was told that they worked on him all the way till they got back to the fob. I think they had to give him blood because he was losing blood crazily. And I think at one point Walters was like, I don't know if he's going to live. And that Spec Ops medic was like, let's go, let's keep going. I don't know if he's Spec Ops. That's what I was told. But they kept Chad alive. And I think he went right to Germany. What was that called in Germany again?
Walter Reed or something like that? Or is that stateside?
They took him. They took him to Germany immediately. I don't think he stuck around. The other two did. Ringelbauer's face got blown off. Him, Ingram, Morgan, and that other kid. It started with a W or an M. I can't remember. I think they all went to Anaconda.
Yeah.
First,
where the World War II was.
Yeah. But we were in a firefight the entire time. There were snipers up top. They were getting hit with RPG. I think they lost the Nessa snipers. There were rounds coming from everywhere. I didn't even know what was going on, man. And I'm just returning fire wherever I saw muzzle flash. Because there was so much smoke and damage, we couldn't really see what was going on. They grabbed, I want to say Ehlers grabbed Larson, and he had a Rip It sitting next to him. Forgive me, Brandon, I love you.
Yeah, I was in the driver's seat.
And inside the driver's seat, it gets very, very hot in there. Well, that Rip It took shrapnel. He took shrapnel, but it got all over his legs, and he's like, my legs are bleeding. I'm bleeding everywhere. Like, he thought he had blood everywhere because of that warm Rip It. But he soon realized he was okay. But he did take shrapnel. They pulled him out. We threw an incendiary round into that striker because they were like, we don't think we can get out there. So they're like, all right. So we got everything important out, right? All the Blue Force tracker and all that other stuff. We had to grab radios, things like that, so the enemy couldn't have it. Threw an incendiary round in there, caught that thing on fire. It was a loss we were willing to take. I think that came from command too. Like, just get rid of it. And then for an instant, it felt like it took hours, but this all happened within 20, 25 minutes because the sun started going down. And the last bit, Lavoie and myself, they had also pulled McGuire to another truck. Lavoie and myself were grabbing another infantryman. We were backing out. We're the last four, I want to say, rolling backwards. There's still muzzle flash coming through the smoke. And the poor infantry guy next to me took a round and went down. So we grabbed him. He was okay. I think he just took it to the leg or something. I don't know how we didn't get shot, man. I don't know how we didn't die. I think angels were watching over us that day. There was just so much going on. Everything just slowed down heavily. And you could kind of focus, but the amount of noise and explosions, it was just like, well, this is it. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to go out fighting. And Lavoie and I got in a truck, and there was McGuire, and he was getting bandaged up. I'm like, what happened? He's like, oh, I took shrapnel. I'm like, frick, dude, that's like the sixth time like you've been hit, And then after that, I think that M88 grabbed onto that striker, and we just drug it, and we slowly went back home to the Warhorse, man. It was...
We had a combat video or cameraman with us. He recorded.
Oh, that's right.
He recorded that battle because I remember in the background, like you hear the rounds hitting around us and it sounded like popcorn.
I forgot about that.
You guys were great because a lot of info, a lot of dates. I'm talking to the Bakuba Saints, and that was the SF teams that were running around Baqubah. So I might ask them about this date. But need to say, this is a great. We're looking for like I don't want to say battles within the battles, but we're looking for incidents, and this is one where it was multiple units from different elements coming together. So as you guys talk to some people who say, yeah, we'd like to collab and talk about this, I'll put the feelers out. Hopefully we can get multiple people together, and even if we have to do it in small groups, or if we get a whatever size group and talk through this, I think that'd be a great sub-story. And that's the other thing I'd leave with both of you is we have a couple other people that are getting on board to do interviews. We're not opposed to do more interviews or do a appointment, but can we just talk? And I was like, yeah, let's do it, because it's like his second session. I don't know if you guys spent time in a VFW. Like the hierarchy of veterans is insane. Like it's just like mind numbing.
Yeah, I don't think
Everybody
I'm
had it worse
worthy.
than the
I
other
think I need a
person,
few more years on my face before I'm allowed to go in there, right?
No,
Oh no, they're
VFW is
trying to get
great.
younger.
I signed
I've
up for
never
a
been.
lifetime,
Yeah.
the lifetime deal with them just to support them. They help you out if you need it. They're there for you. They're awesome.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
they're trying to break the stereotypes or stigmas. They're trying to get younger, hipper, less smoky bars. But yeah, guys, it was a pleasure talking with y'all. Like I said, you know, if anyone wants to talk again, we build up more people for March 16th. Even though you said you couldn't talk about it, I commend both y'all because you guys end up telling it pretty well and getting into it. But yes, we're here for y'all, so don't hesitate. I mean, you got my email. Like I said, I'll edit this up, get it over to you, get your approval before it goes anywhere. Send back those consent forms, and we'll be good.
All right, well,
We
thank you,
appreciate you,
Mike.
Mike.
Hey, no
Yeah.
problem, gentlemen. Hey, stay safe. I know you guys doing dangerous stuff out there in the construction world, but hey, I appreciate your time and thank y'all so much.
We look forward to meeting you one day, Mike. I think that'd be pretty
Hey,
cool.
if you guys come down to San Antonio or as we put together these get-togethers, you know, I look forward to meeting both y'all. You know, if you do drink, we have a beer, we could chat. You know, at a minimum, we can shake hands and high fives.
So
We have a job down there, so
yeah, you do. So real quick, this is going to be a documentary. Is it going to be released on a video? Because I remember watching a documentary, No Greater Love. It was made from a chaplain. That was a great video. Is there going to be like a theater portion where everyone can just kind of like, if they're able to meet up, watch it on a big screen together, or is there just going to get released online? So where there's not actually like a meetup. Dude, hopefully I'm making sense.
No, it makes total sense. I mean, and with today's technology, I would imagine we can get it on a big screen somehow. But right now, the goal is more like YouTube based. So it's free. It's something everybody can see, show your family, show your loved ones. But that is a great idea and something that we can kick around of. So the 520 guys, they all might want to get together in Olympia, and hey, they've got a really I don't know if you remember him, Sergeant Major Huggins.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
really hard charging. Yeah, so he's really hard charging. He may say, yeah, we're going to get into a movie theater, and he'll figure it out. He'll do what sergeant majors do. I mean, even in retirement, they're still sergeant majors.
I mean, if you get if you get General Townsend in this, because he was our full bird in Iraq. And then when I was in Afghanistan, he was my 1-star. It was a strange time. Like he was, no, I think he was a 4-star.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a 4-star.
I think it was just
Wow.
general.
Yeah.
Because then Sergeant Major Huggins, did he call us like the Ghost platoon or something? Like
We're
he
the
called
Ghost-
it, yeah, Ghost Brigade. Yeah, that's right. Because I remember his speech
Yeah.
before we deployed, and that was the last time I heard him.
Well, that came from the Stryker vehicle itself is a very stealthy vehicle. That diesel engine, I mean, you could be sitting there pulling security and there'd be a lamp, right? This is the best way I describe it to people. There'd be a lamp and it's just shining light. And all of a sudden you just see the Stryker pass through the light. You're like, holy crap, I didn't even freaking hear that thing. Like, no, it's pretty, those vehicles are pretty amazing. I feel very fortunate to have been in those during our deployment, not Humvees, you know.
And now that they have redesigned and went to the V-hull, and you know, so even more sturdy.
Yeah.
Townsend's a 4. So yeah.
Yeah, he's top dog. There's no, like I said, he was a full bird, and then he became a 1-star, and I was like, I wish I could get this guy's coin because he just keeps moving up.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of a long response to or whatever that cliche is. So hopefully I answered your question there. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in works. So I'm not privy to everything, but like I said, Sergeant Major Huggins, he's heavily engaged, so I can see a 520 get together that has a movie at some point.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, hopefully they
cool
don't forget
guys.
about us.
Yeah.
Now that you said something, I will put that into our notes for next time we all together. Of hey, Sergeant Major, your tasks or your attached units are saying don't forget about them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's only like 30 of us to them, but I mean, we're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, no one else wanted to do what you guys did, so yeah, you are a big deal.
Most of us didn't want to either. All right.
No. But again, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure
Thank you,
talking to you.
Mike.
Oh, likewise, gentlemen. And hey, you said you have a job here in San Antonio. You end up here, let me know. We'll go down to post 76, 71, but it's like the oldest VFW in Texas. It's by the Alamo on the Riverwalk. So let me know.
Awesome.
Always an open invite.
Perfect.
All right, Mike.
Thank you.